we know that you are a special um, priest who coordinates and represents Hindus with the government. Could you share to our audience a little bit more about your role in this regard, Ji?
Well, the federal government and provincial government, all when it comes to dealing with government institutions like incarceration centers like Correctional Services of Canada, is the department that looks after prisons. And all inmates in the prisons are entitled by, according to the human rights laws, that they be given spiritual care services. There are people of every denomination and nationality and faith within the institution. So I have the opportunity to work to provide what is called spiritual care services to Hindus who may be in federal prison systems and also in provincial incarceration centers. The term chaplain is used to name that person who's doing that. Mm-hmm. The term chaplain doesn't have any relevance in Hinduism because it's a Christian term, or a Catholic term to be exact, but it basically translates to a person who preaches the doctrines of the religion, and who can, in this case, who can administer the doctrines of the religion to someone in an institution. So it's called spiritual care. So it's a form of care program. Now the federal government has a very extensive program that is across Canada that engages every denomination possible based upon the component makeup of the prison inmate system. Mm-hmm. So Catholics, Muslims, Hindus, Christians, Jews, everybody have representation. So I am the representation for the Hindus at the federal prison level.
Thank you, sir. That's a very important information which most of our people may not be aware of. So the question, sir, is in general, like, do you see Hindus being also being on the wrong side of the law in Canada? Do you see that, sir?
Well, the interesting thing is, in every community, there are people who are on the wrong side of the law. Okay. But interestingly, the statistics that I've looked at over the last 5 years, the Hindus' population in incarceration center prisons is very low. Compared to others, it is very low. It's so low, it doesn't even show up on the graph. Okay. So we should be proud of that.
That's it. Now, this is what Panditji said is a testimony to the high principles of morality and truth in our community, wherein we are law-abiding people. And as this must be a source of great happiness and information for all the viewers that the number of Hindu prisoners in jails in Canada is almost negligible. It doesn't even show in the graph, to use the word of Swamiji. Thank you, Panditji. This is actually a very motivating information for many people to hear, that we already know that we are very peaceful and good people, but to hear this is a further validation of what you said. So when you go to the incarceration, when you meet our people, what kind of services can you elaborate a little bit on what is the nature of services which they would look forward in terms of spiritual services?
People in these situations are looking for guidance as to where the future lies. What will I do when I leave this institution? How do I deal with getting a new job? How do I face my family? How do I deal with my conscience for the crime item I've committed? All of the above is discussed. So in a form of a counseling approach, we sit, we talk, we discuss, we read the scriptures, we relate the scriptures, we relate day-to-day philosophical tidbits from the scriptures that will relate to their specific condition, that would give them confidence and give them some kind of a feeling that, yes, I can get back into the real world and get back into my normal lifestyle. I mean, if it's a man who's left his family, a young person who's been caught into some situation whereby family there's been fractions in the family relationship, or a female who's got to go back to build a family, all of these situations requires specific tact and approach and counseling based upon their need. So there's no one straight answer, but the objective is that they know that they can speak to someone who has no ulterior motives, who does not have their own agenda, who is working with them to meet their agenda in life, and that is the important factor.
I think that's fascinating that you have taken up this role, sir, because having somebody like you in that role would provide a lot of motivation for that person and a source of strength for that person. Now, on this subject, a related thing, is it only after people go to incarceration they are called upon your services, or even while they're in the process or you being called upon to offer them?
Well, all of the policing agencies across Canada have what they call chaplaincy services. And based on the demographics of the neighborhood, they would have different representations. But not all of the chaplains are paid employees of the organization. For instance, the Hindus are volunteering. But other denominations, because of the large component of the makeup of the demographics of that denomination, then they are paid chaplains. Every hospital in this country have chaplaincy services. Some are paid chaplains, most of them, and these are mostly from the Christian denominations because they were there first and there's a larger population. But now you will see they might be Muslim chaplains, and there's a movement towards that are paid employees. And then the others are volunteer. For instance, the Baha'is and so on, Hindus, Sikhs are all volunteers, Zoroastrians are volunteers, Jains are volunteers, but Anglicans and Catholics and Presbyterians maybe are paid because they have been entrenched in the process for a long time, and there's a larger demographics that requires your attention.
So who pays those chaplains? I mean, is it it's not the government that pays them, right? Or is it the government?
Oh no, in the cases of whereby the federal prison system, they are paid by the government.
Okay.
In the cases when they work in hospitals, they are part of the hospital staffing.
Okay.
And so on. Yes.
Okay. Now you said hospital staffing, sir, like hospital chaplain services. What can you kindly elaborate on? What is Hindu spiritual service at hospital? What kind of services do you do at the hospital?
Well, a new baby is born, people want prayers. Someone dies, people want prayers. Someone is in the hospital, someone is in palliative care. There is always spiritual care. And to be there, to talk to people, to give them confidence, to encourage them, to put them closer and connect them to their spirit and their belief in God, which will help them in the healing process. All hospitals basically have agreed in concept that spiritual care helps to get the patient out of the hospital faster.
Okay.
There's very little effort being made to measure the tangible effects of this, and as such, they can't say, well, okay, because of spiritual care, 50 people went home early. But the fact of the matter is, people go home early because of spiritual care. In the prison systems, spiritual care saves tons of money in the prison system.
How is it so?
But because it's not tangible. For instance, if an inmate was to get violent and to have a fight with another inmate, the guard will have to be engaged, the entire situation will be shut down, and there will be cost. But if that inmate had the opportunity to speak to a chaplain who, through counseling, can quiet them down, all of that would be eliminated and costs will be eliminated. But there's no measurement to say, well, okay, well, we saved $1 million because we didn't have a prison riot.
Okay. I agree. I want to bring to your attention an experience with one of my community members. They were in the hospital, and when the patient was going through some difficult time, and then you walked in at that hospital, and they were totally surprised to see that there's somebody representing Hinduism is coming as part of the system. Now, so many people are not aware of that there is a Hindu spiritual system in Canada. And what would you want to say to them, those who are not aware of this system which is available in Canada?
Well, spiritual care services are available, but I wouldn't say that it's a structured approach. It is incumbent upon the chaplaincy department or the spiritual care department in the hospital to outreach to different denominations based upon the hospital residency, meaning if the demographic says that we have people of A denomination, B denomination, C denomination, but there's only one chaplain in the hospital, it is incumbent upon that chaplain to outreach, to get volunteers. Okay, we have Hindus, get a Hindu priest to come. We have Muslims, get an imam to come, and so on and so on. And this is called the volunteer multi-faith chaplain services that are available in most hospitals that are coordinated by the resident chaplain. So in the case of myself, I live in Oakville. I'm very known in Mississauga and Brampton. So Trillium Hospital, William Osler Hospitals, I'm I'm very prominent there. And I get calls from the hospital for emergency situations. But the patients in the hospital must be told, I must be aware that if you want a Hindu priest, we can get one for you. And they
Yeah.
will call me and they say, Pandit Sharma, we have someone here who needs your attendance, and it's a volunteer process. I'll give them a commitment to be there or send another priest. Someone is dying, someone is palliative care, whatever the case may be, but we are available and accessible. Now, the organization, one of the organizations that I represent, the Hindu Federation, we are trying to work to bring this as a collaborative effort across the GTA, whereby we are connected with all the hospitals and all government institutions like health centers and so on, to say when you need a Hindu priest, call this number. And then we will try to connect you to a relevant priest in the area, in the neighborhood. But this is a work in progress.
Okay, progress. Now, uh, every community in Canada, whether it is like the South Indian community, in South India there are different communities: Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada. If you go further north, there is Orissa people, Maharashtrians. Now, in Canada, in GTA, we see each one of them have their own individual associations, community associations. Now, is there anything that is being done, sir, so that these community associations are aware? Obviously, this is one such effort from our end. Do you have in your mind anything which the the community leaders, the association leaders should be doing so that they could spread this message to all their community members?
Well, I think, like in every community and society, there's no one great organization that represents everybody.
True.
Although we would like to believe that that's the ideal thing.
True.
But the realities are we are different and the variety makes it beautiful. But there is an effort, there is a body that I alluded to earlier, it's called the Hindu Federation, whereby every Hindu organization can become a member. And we are endeavoring to output information through the social media, normal channels, and regular media, written documentation to inform people, to keep people informed. And this is a gradual process. I believe that in time to come, the next 5 years at least, that these organizations will get more prominence. Communities tend to gravitate towards their place of worship, but only 20% of a community will go to a place of worship. The other 80% just knows that they are of that denomination and may practice their religion at home, but never goes to the place of worship. So we can't say only the place of worship disseminates information. They have to be the general media outlets that will be given, and this television program is one. All of the social media is there, and general forums, what we call open house and things like that, to talk about that, and multi-faith organizations working together in retirement homes, in hospitals, in police activities, in wherever there's a public forum, that they are there, that it becomes a norm, that people understand that, yes, that all communities have spiritual care services, and you can access them through these methods.
Okay. Okay. So this concept of spiritual care services, it must be a lot of strength to the listeners that in Canada we have spiritual care services which Panditji is coordinating with the government agencies to provide moral and spiritual support to our people. Now we'll come back after a short break, Panditji. That wonderful answer. I have another question. You have been communicating with the government over many years, and you have seen how things are working here. May I ask you, what programs and the government is having that would contribute to the welfare of Hindus in Canada?
I think that to say that the government has a program that contributes to the welfare of specifically Hindus in Canada would be no. But the government have programs that contribute to all people of Canada. Regardless if you're Hindu or Christian or Muslim, all programs are available to all citizens and all who have proper status. Everyone is entitled to the same program. There's no differentiation, except maybe in our school systems. We have a Catholic school system, whereby the Catholic school system is paid by the government. That is the only exception that I can think about. But that is an institution that was there before we came. And all schools are funded by government. So even the Catholic school that is funded by government is not restricted only to Catholics. So anyone can go to these schools. So right now, I would say all services offered by the government, municipal, provincial, and federal, are available to all people of all denominations. And I'm very, very clear about that. I'm very confident that that is so. But for us to seek out special services, I don't think that that's what we want, and I don't think the government is out to give anybody special attention. We're all special.
That was a fabulous answer
Okay.
to to say that, because this answer would have very deep impact on people. What you just said,
Mm.
that all of us are special and all of us need to be
Right.
uniform in being special. So
Mm.
thank you for that answer. Now, in general, sir, this is another question. Um, how well aware are Hindus, in your opinion, of Canada to what is happening in the society in Canada? Like, are they like active enough in any activity, or should they be doing more? Should they be doing less? What are your thoughts on that, sir?
I think we are not, as a community, very driven to provide community social services.
Hmm.
As a community, we may be moving in the direction to propagate our religion, and in a sense, from temple gathering and temple activities and celebrating our festivals. But beyond that, we are not, if I were to compare it to maybe the Abrahamic religions, maybe Judaism and Christianity, whereby they have structured social service program that emanates from their place of worship. And Hindus are not into that in that structured approach. We need to learn and understand that that is also a way that um, children counseling, family counseling, marriage counseling, all of these things are things that are relevant and necessary in our society. And the place of worship is a great hub for these things to emanate from, and can all can get services there. And also connecting a new immigrant who's come to this country, that the temple is a hub to go to, but the temple also needs to realize that it can become an outlet to connect with the other social services, that it can direct people, by the way, you need this service, go there. So the temple becomes a source of general information. It would be ideal when every time someone arrives here and they arrive at the airport and they say, you're a Hindu, by the way, here, take this package. This will tell you where the Hindu services are. And they go there and then they say, okay, that you can go, there's a temple there, there's a grocery, whatever it is. But that will be expecting too much. But some kind of general information. But the Hindu Federation is a body that is working towards that. That there'll be websites where you're a Hindu, you can click on Hindu information and it will say, okay, if you're in Edmonton, there are 10 Hindu temples and there are 5 priests and this is their contact information. You want to get a wedding done and so on. Those type of things, we are moving towards that. It's a gradual process, but it's one that's necessary. So as far as availability of information, we are trying to disseminate information as best possible using whatever media we have, but eventually there is going to be a time when people come, if you're a new immigrant, when you come and you go and you do Google and you say Google Hinduism, it's to say pop up, here's the screen, Hindu Federation. What do you want to know? And go there and that information will be there.
This is fantastic what you just said, because this is empowerment for the new immigrant and new Hindu. Like when you have, and things like what you said is that a temple being the hub of gathering, but more than that, it has to provide guidance and information for different services which Hindus may need. That's a concept which, as you, borrowing your words, the Abrahamic religions have been able to put up that structure in place, and we still don't have it. But it's extremely heartening to hear from you that you have that kind of vision, and something like that is in the pipeline, and it is very gratifying. So a quick word about the Hindu Federation. Could you tell us, like, how what is the Hindu Federation of Temples, sir?
The Hindu Federation is a body that is intending to be a representative entity for Hindus across Canada. It constitutes, its members are temples, organizations. And they are right now very, very intensely across the GTA. We are looking at expanding across Canada, but that's a slow process. Our objective has been and always will be is to represent Hindus at all levels of social, economical, religious, and cultural. We are not engaged in the political arena, but everything else about Hinduism we are there to represent. And we are growing. We are looking at how we can deal with the current issues. Current issues about what is the Hindus' take on STEM research? What is the Hindus' take on organ transplant? What is the Hindus' take on gay and same-sex marriages? These are issues that have to be handled at this level, at an upper level, whereby we can bring this information to all the community and says, okay, here is what we Hindus believe, and for government and other bodies that are concerned about people in the world.
So your initiative will help the government in formulating their rules and policies as
Well, it certainly will be an avenue or an outlet for the government to access as a resource for information relevant to our point of view. Yes.
fantastic. So, Panditji, could you tell us when you came to Canada?
I came to Canada in 1970.
1970. So, 1970 to 2020. How do you see Hindu identity in Canada progressing and evolving over these years, Panditji?
Well, Hindu identity is something that's gradually progressing as more Hindus come to Canada, but there's still a very large proportion of Canadians who do not know who or what is a Hindu. There is this concept that a Hindu is a person who has a turban on his head and maybe has a beard, or dressed like me, or he's wearing a yellow robe, or he always has a dot on his forehead and things like that. So we have these perceptions, but understanding who is a Hindu takes a little bit more than that. And we are known because we celebrate Diwali, and now Diwali is a Sikh festival also, and so on. So there's no real distinct way of saying, and then we were all jumbled together as South Asians at one time. So there's quite a lot of work to be done by Hindus, and maybe government also said, hey, by the way, this is a Hindu, and this is what they do. This is how they believe, this is how they pray, this is how they think, this is how they dress. And let people understand it. Not that you want to make them distinct, but you want to make them not be misunderstood.
Beautiful. I think you have so beautifully explained this subtle difference, wherein Hindu identity should be brought forward without in any conflict with no other faith, but at the same time as a matter of self-respect. Panditji, in spite of your busy schedules, you have taken your time and shared with us some very critical information, which I'm sure a good number of our people are not aware of it. Any questions or any inputs which you have, which you want to share with us, feel free to communicate, and we'll bring it to the attention of Panditji. And I'm sure with his vision and help, Hindus of Canada and new immigrants of Canada will find Canada spiritually a much stronger and motivating place for them. Thank you so much, Panditji.
Thank you.